Also something that traditionally has made us very proud as a community. And so the challenge is, how does CISD maintain oneness, and then how does the city help with that? Now, my understanding is that they are committed to being a one high school town, so that's one way everybody's at the same high school, and I understand that's really important for the school district for lots of reasons, including financial. That's part of the reason I understand they drove them to the 9th grade campus, which is probably a smart idea.
Right on. Yeah. I've heard that already from multiple people, is that they see that as a really good value add.
I'm very.
Yeah.
Are you a parent yet?
No.
Okay. If you ever become a parent, you'll understand that as those kids, having that as freshmen away from those sophomore, juniors, and seniors, probably not a bad idea.
Right on. That's a bit of a transition.
Those three can all drive. You can't.
Right. Yeah. You're coming out of middle school, a very different experience. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So.
Well, hey, I'd love to ask you a future-focused question here. Imagine it's 10 years from now, and then the news stories start coming out that say, get out of Capel. The schools are broken. This is not the place to be. And as you already alluded to, you could see that if the schools break, that actually would happen.
Yeah.
And so now I'm gonna sort of do a pre-mortem exercise with you, if I can. Imagine that I hire you to make sure that happens in 10 years.
To break?
To break it. I want you to help me make that happen.
That's an interesting question.
Where would you focus your efforts? Knowing what you know now, today, in 2017, what are the chinks in the armor? What are the vulnerabilities? Where could you focus?
I think I'd go straight after the demographic separation of the community.
Okay.
I mean,
why do you think?
Try to break it. I try to reinforce the fact that you're different.
Why do you see that as impacting the actual success of the schools?
Because by having that separation of, we're a high drive, all or nothing as far as the Asian community in terms of everything we do is about education. For lack of a better word, it's going to create this imbalance. It's going to create, there's competition at the top. I'm not saying that in terms of the academics, but it's going to create this imbalance in a way of haves and have-nots in the education system, even in Capel.
Interesting.
Capel has new tech.
Yeah.
Right? And I know there's still some struggles with new tech in terms of just how it works and how it fits into the whole educational system.
Can you, real quick, unpack that? I don't want to presume anything. No, that's a big thing for us.
That's okay. I think it has
what is your perception of that?
Again, not having a kid in there, it's I may have a wrong understanding of how you get into VUTech, but as I understand it, it's kind of it's a different kind of learning environment. It's from a creativity, from a participatory standpoint, everything along those lines. And it's not every kid's cut out for that, right?
Okay.
And so, I'm just using that as an example. So by having this separate and apart, then at the high school, are you going to have a separate and apart for your high performers, and then you have the rest of the kids? So if we ever get a mentality, when you talk about how driving something, if we ever get into a mentality where the rest of the kids, we're just passing them through, which I don't think they do.
Okay.
But that's what I mean by driving that wedge in terms of, we're only going to pay attention to these kids, and these kids will get still a quality education, but whether or not they go on to college anymore becomes less important. And are we preparing them for life skills and those kinds of things? I just think to your question about 10 years and it broke, it's a combination of socioeconomics and demographics, in terms of, And if we set up any kind of systems that reinforce different, I think those are the systems that are going to create potentially the atmosphere that says, I don't want to be over there, because that's such a small group, right? In terms of the ones that are successful is such a small group compared to the 14,000 students that we have in the school district. And I want my kid to get more of this, or be more exposed to other things. I don't know how they articulate it, but that would be a concern, because it's a concern for us as the community changes. If we don't deal with it, it's not going to be helpful either.
Sure. And would you say, in terms of the educational system, that it could manifest itself in a place like New Tech because...
Well, New Tech becomes nothing but a Southeastern Asian campus.
Or do you have you gotten a sense that it's particularly attractive or not attractive to that particular demographic?
My impression is it would be attractive. You could look at statistics. I don't know, but it would be. I could see their. What do they call them? What are the classes called? The baccalaureate classes.
IB, International Baccalaureate.
IB, but there's also
AP. Yeah.
I could see where all of a sudden all those classes are nothing but a particular demographic. Because of the pressure that's put on those kids to do whatever it takes to get into college, right? Not that the other kids don't have a way of being driven to go to college, but how's the school district going to respond when they look around the room and 90% of my high school seniors in AP or IB are all one race?
Right on.
So that's what I mean by driving. So then what happens when those other kids are going home, they're telling their parents, oh my gosh, I can't even get in that class. I don't know that that's how that works or not.
Sure.
But if you get into that kind of situation, that's going to reinforce, well, my kid can't get ahead here, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. So
then the original kind of group that sort of built Capel is leaving.
Right. And I have no foundation anymore, so I've had to start over.
Do you think that that's, from your point of view, that would be the loss of your foundation?
Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah, that's why we're going to work on it now.
Yeah.
In terms of, as a community, now it ties back into education. As a community, that's why we call it allies and community. How are we going to get more and more of our changing demographic engaged in the community?
Oh, because then if that foundation, if old Capel, or if basically your predominantly white population was to leave because the education system doesn't fit them, that's your currently engaged population in other city
now,
things.
All of a sudden, now that you've taken that away, and I haven't done a good job of getting the demographic that we're talking about engaged in the community. So now I've got a different community.
You've got college kids.
I got
that go to a college town like College Station, but have no interest in the local politics.
Yeah, why?
I'm here for A&M. Or service.
Right, which is what we're talking about.
Right.
That's what this community is really good at, is serving.
Right. Because of a perfect example is Big Event at A&M. They created that to say, guys, you're not helping anybody.
Right.
But you're between Texas Avenue and Weldon.
So we're having to always look at our programs and everything, and measure and what's participation, and we look around the room when we host events over at the library, and we see a very diverse. Just in a few years, a very much more diverse group of people, which is, I'm glad. It's not a bad thing at all.
Sure.
But then, as you look and you see it's a really diverse group, and it's like, well, wait, now there's another group that's not participating. Why is, so it's like, oh, okay. Because, people, they pass their own judgments.
Well, you've also got that piece, too. Like you said, particularly given what certain groups are creating a perception of.
Right.
When you're talking about prayer rooms and other things and places of worship, and the way that's being